And then instead of eating the costs, all the businesses are just passing the costs on to the consumers. So then the consumers are now unable to spend or unable to purchase as much as they could. Like it's all just artificial. Like our dollar, our currencies worldwide are part of a fiat economy. Fiat means it doesn't exist. The government, if they want to increase spending, just print more money and give it out to the people. Like, our money is worthless, yet we're led to believe that the value of the money we hold is the value of who we are. Or at least that was my experience. So, I don't really care about money. Now, it's not to say that you don't need money to survive. Money is a resource. But just realize, okay, if we use an analogy of money being water, okay, and water is the resource, if the government go out, right, and build thousands upon thousands of desalination plants, and money is our resource, but all we can do is get money, we can only get money from the freshwater lakes, right? And we have to go and work 10 hours a day to get, let's say 100 litres of water a day, right? But at any point in time, if the government want, they can just pump in a couple of million litres, a couple of billion litres, a couple of trillion litres. Yet, I don't increase the amount of water that I get, even if they artificially pump up the water, which actually lowers the value of the water that I hold. Do you understand? That's how money works. It's all just bullshit. And then, you got these billionaires that are out there that are, the governments have their tax system open for various reasons, where they have loopholes so that you don't have to pay tax. But it's like, if you only ever use borrowed money to buy assets, you don't have to pay tax, because you don't actually earn income, because the earned income you have doesn't exceed the amount you're borrowing. So you're always in an artificial deficit, which is so funny. Because everyone, the government's used this we have to tax the rich. It's sort of like, as Donald Trump said, at any point in time, you can change the tax code to make the rich have to pay on tax, but you're not going to, because the people that buy the government are the ones that want to keep those loopholes open. It's not anything new. That's the funny thing. But we lead ourselves to believe that it just doesn't exist, that these rich people, the reason that they don't pay tax is because they're corrupt. No. The reason they don't pay tax is because they just realised the loopholes that the government left open for themselves, and they decided to start using them. It's a funny thing. I saw this video the other day, and they were going through the net worths of all the US presidents before they went into office and after they went into the office. And look, if you start at $3 million and then you do a 4 and 8 year term and you leave with $400 or $500 million, you're corrupt. If you leave with $20 or $30 million, you're corrupt. Come now. Come on. Don't pull that game with me. That's the funny thing. If we scrutinise the politicians and we made it all transparent and open, every day of the week you'd see it within seconds how corrupt they all are. You'd be able to see who bought them, how much they bought them for. And then if we look at the legislation or look at the actions that they took in those time frames, we'd be able to see what was bought and sold. It's funny, but unfortunately, like we have to, as the people, suffer for a bit longer before we decide that, putting up with this isn't good enough. Because right now they just use manipulative strategies in the media to condition us and mislead us. You know what I mean? And while this isn't directly related to self-belief, but it's sort of like it is, because we have these beliefs, but we know a different truth inside of us. And that's what self-belief is. Like, I know that if I do the work and I work towards my goals day in, day out, I will achieve them because of past experience. But it's like these outside voices are constantly telling us that, you need to use these SEO tools to get your website ranked. You need to do this. You need to follow this marketing strategy. You need to have this, a professional video editor. Like, you need to have the highest quality this and that. Like, we already know inherently the truths. Because, our truths are based on observed fact. And we got to understand that our conscious and our subconscious mind are more powerful than any supercomputer that has ever been invented. There hasn't been a supercomputer invented. Even AI is nowhere near as powerful as our mind. Like, you got to understand the feelings we have where it's like, I feel like this is wrong, that is because our subconscious has processed that amount of data, such a large amount of data over a period of time, that it has made that decision, that this is wrong. And the funny thing is that we don't really understand it. It took me so long to really understand what my subconscious mind was saying. And it's sort of like, have you ever noticed in your life that you just sort of know things? Like, with people, it's like you'll just have this feeling that, I don't trust that guy. There's something about him, I don't trust him. And then a couple of weeks later, you hear a story about that person, and they either rip someone off, they assaulted or attacked someone. They could have been a kitty fiddler. They could have been, sexually assaulting people. Like, it could have been something. And you just have this gut feeling that, I don't know if I don't trust that person. So we all got to know that the reason we get that feeling that I just don't trust that person, that's our subconscious mind. So in sales, I learned sales at a very high level, and at a very high level in sales, what I would be trying to do is manipulate your subconscious so that instead of you feeling, I don't trust this guy, you're feeling like, I can trust this guy. Do you understand? And it's because what we're trying to manipulate is we're trying to manipulate those genuine connections and those genuine interactions. So look at marketing, look at sales, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to manipulate your conscious and your subconscious mind so that your conscious mind is confused and sort of doesn't really understand it, but your subconscious mind is sort of telling you, I got a feeling I can trust this person. And it's like, the way we do that is through tonality, body language, language patterns. Because, like, the majority, if you look at marketing, if you look at these business gurus and these experts in business, these experts in life, these experts in spirituality, you'll see they're not actually saying anything. They're talking around topics and using their tonality and their body language and imagery in their videos and their content or their marketing to manipulate your subconscious into liking them. And that's a funny thing. Because so many people tried to convince me that's what I needed to do to succeed. And I said, I would rather fail being authentic and honest than succeed manipulating another. I don't care. Like, I do not manipulate. I do not mislead. I do not lie. I am not going to use visual stimuli in my content that I produce to make to draw your attention and hold your attention. I'm not going to use manipulative language patterns, which are hooks, to draw your attention and then use crafted, scripted language to hold your attention and try and manipulate your conscious mind. Like, honestly, look at the majority of self-development and personal development content out there. The majority of it is empty words where it sounds good, but you get absolutely nothing from it. And that's a funny thing. Because for me, this always caused self-doubt. Because everyone was saying that I had to go down this path. Because everyone else does it, because that's how people succeed easily. Anyone that tells you that they can get you 100,000 followers on YouTube in a month, the only reason they can do that is because they're leveraging on other people's brand and content, imitating it, and then using the likeness between it to try and manipulate that audience into thinking it's, someone of the same caliber. It's funny because, you haven't really built anything. All you've done is just convinced a bunch of people who like a specific person that you're exactly like that person and they should like you. You've brought no value to the marketplace. You've brought no value to society. You've brought no value to your consumers or your audience. The hard thing to do is to know within yourself that being authentic, being yourself, doing the right thing, being a good person will always get you to where you want to be in the long run. It doesn't matter. It's less stressful being a good person. Because being a good person, I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about my mask falling. I don't have to worry about people not liking me for who I am. Because if people don't like me for who I am, that's okay. Everyone doesn't have to like me in life. That's the funny thing. But if I go out and I do these strategies where I imitate and I copy other people, I have to create a persona that I have to uphold. Otherwise, people will see through it. And it makes me sort of personally laugh because what happens especially in life is, sorry, I was just merging lines, but basically what happens in life is when we are ourselves, we get to relax and be ourselves. When we develop honest and genuine relationships and connections, okay, those people like us for who we are, not who we're trying to be. When we create our relationships based on who people think that we are, or this persona, the moment that persona falls, what happens is once that persona falls, people see the real you. And it's very, very limiting because then you cannot be anyone else in life. For example, look at Elon Musk. He went from creating PayPal, an online payment service, to then doing electric cars because he was just trying to be himself and do what interests him. But then you take these large businesses, take for example Kodak's or Blockbuster. they could not get out of the industries they were in to adapt and change to the changing markets and changing technologies. And they went bankrupt because their identity was the only thing that they were leveraging. That's the thing. Their identity wasn't authentic. They didn't realize, who they were. They just tried to create this image and this persona of, Kodak's was the camera people, not digital, but, the disposable cameras, the film and all of this. Blockbuster were just movie rental spaces. They weren't movie streaming spaces. So when movie streaming and the internet came along and downloading, what happened is they could not compete. And then when that became more convenient than going to a video store, they lost the large portion of their customers because their identity was so wrapped up in, they just rent hard copy videos. They just rent DVDs. So understand, inherently you know who you are. You know what you need to do in life to achieve what you want in life. And whatever path you decide to go down, just know if you're authentic and you do the right thing, you will always reach the result that you want. It may not be quick, it may not be easy, but you will always reach that result and achieve that goal, And when self-doubt comes in, just understand that self-doubt is literally external thoughts and beliefs, external narratives, external language. You know what I mean? So if you understand this, then it's if the external narrative or the self-doubt doesn't align to what I think and feel within myself, then I know it's not true. I know it's not real. I know I can ignore it. You know what I mean? And it's by really reinforcing positive narratives and positive language patterns and our positive beliefs over these negative or self-doubt is how we condition in these new positive beliefs and these new positive changes. You know what I mean? So it's sort of understanding this, it's not an easy process, but if you persevere, okay, and you're consistent day in, day out, you're consistent every time a negative thought or a negative belief happens, you turn around and say, that is not me. Then what happens is, over a long enough period of time, that negative belief is sort of rooted out of you. You know what I mean? It can't exist. If your mind is only full of positive, negative can never exist. If your mind, if you don't give yourself room to be in negative states and negative spaces, you will only ever be in positive states and positive spaces. So, So building up, for me, self-belief has been difficult, but it's also it's the most worthwhile thing to do, because when you come out on the other end, every time you face obstacles, every time you face challenges, every time, you feel that sense of defeat or that sense of not so much defeat but failure, you feel that it's too difficult, what will happen is over a long enough period of time, like you will recondition that to where you only feel positive. You know what I mean? It's sort of like building brick by brick by brick by brick. And the more bricks we put in there and the more bricks we build up, sort of the stronger it gets. Hey, alright, well that's going to end this one. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.